Trip to the Moon. Some of y'all are probably familiar with the film, or maybe some of y'all only know the iconic picture from the film A Trip to the Moon. So as you know, you already clicked on this video, so you probably know what I'm talking about right now. So I wanted to talk about the iconicness of A Trip to the Moon is. Let's count how many times I say A Trip to the Moon in this video. That famous screenshot of the moon with the rocket launched in the sky. I really wanted to paint it, and I was like, you know what, but let's give it a twist. I want to paint this, but also while I paint, I talk about its brief history. Now sit down and enjoy it. Georges Méliès was born on December 8, 1861. Okay, don't worry, I won't go that far. He was a French director, and he was the director of A Trip to the Moon, in case y'all forgot to read the title. And so, previously he was a showman, but then eventually he got a film camera, and he loved making movies, and he was fascinated with the camera, obviously. Who wasn't at that time? But especially him. And the thing that kind of started it all for him was that, for his big brain moment, was that he was filming in the streets of France, so the camera got jammed and it stopped filming, so he was trying to fix it, and once he fixed it, it started filming again in the same place but a different time, right? So when he watched it back, he saw that he made the first trim edits. Basically, he was the founder of jump cuts. That was the start of his ideas. So he realized that there were a lot of cool things that you could edit, because back in the day in my time, no, because I was there back then, so when people filmed, they could film a few seconds and maybe a minute, and there wasn't any iMovie, there wasn't any CapCut, obviously, so no one really could edit their videos. But once Méliès found how to edit, then that opened a whole entire door for him. He started recording stuff, filming. We're talking about a film camera. He started doing a bunch of cool tricks, like he managed to make his head really big. I don't need help for that. Eventually he got to make the famous A Trip to the Moon. He made elaborate sets, like play sets. Watching A Trip to the Moon feels like you're watching a play, basically, but with cool edits and stuff. And I think that's why people love it so much, because it's just very creative, right? Especially knowing when it's from, right? Okay, so now his magnum opus. What is his magnum opus? The title of the video. A Trip to the Moon, of course. So I wanted to give a brief summary of what goes down inside A Trip to the Moon. I obviously don't want to narrate the whole entire movie. I really recommend you to watch it. It's available on, I believe, the streaming service Max, and also I'm pretty sure it's available on YouTube. A lot of people uploaded the movie, so go check it out, but not before finishing this video. Okay, sit down. I saw you standing up. It was a 4-minute sci-fi fantasy, according to Google. And it was apparently the first sci-fi movie to be made, so that's groundbreaking, of course. So I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of what happened in A Trip to the Moon. It tells the story of a group of scientists, and the gang plans on making a quick little trip to the moon, as y'all probably assumed. I don't really know what those women are supposed to be, and they aren't really scientists, they're just sitting there. Yeah, a lot of parts didn't age well. As you might have expected, it's a movie from the early 1900s. Yeah, they're just sitting there I wish I also had hobbies. Yeah, overall it was very weird how women were depicted in this movie, but let's just set this aside for now. This video isn't about how it didn't hold up that well, and that there's some questionable things. We're talking about how it impacted the history of cinema. Well, and off they go. They launch themselves into space and land on the moon's eye. And so they arrive, and they immediately go to sleep. Just go slumber, They were like, wow, the moon. Alright, good night. I don't know why they immediately go to sleep. I guess it's because since they're on the moon and there's not night and day, they're just like, I guess it's nighttime. I guess we should look into this moon when it's early in the morning, once the sun rises, right? And then they never got to explore the moon. Okay, so they wake up and they actually start exploring. Anyway, but this scene when they're sleeping, it inspired me to put it on the painting just to add a little bit of detail. I know there's 2 moons in the painting, but it's just because it looks pretty, okay? The next day they actually explore more of the moon, and you really get the creativeness and the adventure that this film holds. It's very creative. I love this set. They put a lot of thought into telling a story without talking because, of course, in case you forgot, this is a silent film. Anyway, so while they're exploring, they come across the people living, or the creatures living on the moon, slaughtering them. Scientists, am I right? And so the moon people start attacking them, and then they hold them hostage. And after escaping from the moon, they go back to Earth. Yeah, everyone seems to love it. Also, the music that's on top of it makes it very uneasy. Honestly, while watching the whole film, it was very ominous. Honestly, watching the whole film felt like a fever dream. And I don't know, I mean that in a good way, but also sometimes in a bad way. But that's something you can appreciate, I guess. That's why it's very popular, because everyone loves the fever dreamness of it all. And yeah, that's basically the whole movie summarized. But obviously I suggest you still watch it entirely. It's only 14 minutes, which was very long for back in the day. It's a historic relic. Is that relic? It just popped into my head. I don't know if it means what I think it means, but let's just throw it in there. Keep in mind, this all went down in the freaking 700 BC. Well, not quite. Okay, so it was 1992, but... Oh, and also this was the first sci-fi film. Another thing is that they colored every single frame of the movie. George Melies paid a bunch of people, I think women to be specific, and hired them to color every single frame of the movie, which is incredibly impressive. Also, I believe very expensive too. Watching the movie, before I even made research into this, I did notice that I was like, I think they colored it because you could see the way in every frame it moves and the color moves, and it looks very painted on. So I think that's really cool. Also, freaking Thomas Edison made hundreds of copies of this film and distributed them all over America and earned a bunch of money and made bank while Melies was going bankrupt. So he actually distributed and published A Trip to the Moon without Melies' knowledge and made a bunch of money from it, and published it in America before even George Melies got to do it. He beat him to it. While people in America were loving the movie and wanted to know who was in charge of making this film, Edison got all the credit. Thomas Edison pirated almost everything that made him famous, apparently. But we're not getting into that. Today's not about Thomas Edison. It's about A Trip to the Moon. Melies was literally going bankrupt and eventually retired. He turned his studio where he filmed his movies into a variety theater and went back to being a showman. The film was rediscovered around the 20s. Actually, a lot of movies were lost of his because he destroyed basically all of them. There's not to laugh about it. But there was one saved copy of A Trip to the Moon. A lot of people liked it, and people found out that it was made by George Melies. Even though he retired and everything, he still got the chance to make a few more films. So in conclusion, A Trip to the Moon was very revolutionary. The film really impacted the rest of cinema. Also, here's the finished painting. And let me know in the comments below, what do you think of A Trip to the Moon? Anyway, and that's the story behind A Trip to the Moon. Thanks for watching already. See you next week. Goodbye. Okay, I'm sorry, one more thing. I'm so bad at this, I can't believe I forgot. But I released an English version of slayyyy. initials, Seagrass English version. So it's available on Spotify and iTunes and anywhere you want to listen to it. Yeah, I need to get better at this because I never promote. And then I wonder why it does bad, because I don't promote my freaking songs. I'm not giving you a snippet because then you would not care to listen to it. You have to listen to it, okay?